today, our children are on our minds. How could we possibly be okay with our own children starving just so that somebody can look good?
Ghana is getting to a point that some of us, we just talk and then it gets nowhere. You told me to bring my son to a school to be educated. I don't think you will not get food to eat. Give me the chance, okay, to feed my son or my ward. And you told me, no, you not allow me to do that. Now want to. But we are all teachers. We know what is happening. Just that we can't talk about it. Our mouths are pet seized that you can't even voice out. We are all aware of what is happening in our SHS. There is no food for these people. God should save Ghana.
Me, I won't go central. I won't go leg. I won't go Methodist.
Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
All right, listen, let's get to it. Reports have been going round since, for several months now, of children in senior high schools being starved, quite literally, being fed porridge 3 times a day. And, it sounds like something out of a Charles Dickens novel, except in this case, there aren't likely to be many Olivers asking for more. Now, these students are people's children. The futures of entire families, entire clans, entire villages are embodied in these young souls who have been placed in the custodial care of government schools that are starving and malnourishing them. Our children. But we discovered the strangest thing over the weekend. Not many Ghanaians put the interest of the child first, as the Constitution demands. In fact, not many parents put the interest of their own child first, because we struggled when we were looking for just one parent to tell us the truth about what's happening with their child in school. But in the end, we got one. One parent who put his child's needs first and is willing to tell us exactly what has been happening. Neo Rakatete is a parent. He's on the line right now. Mr. Rakatete, thank you for your time with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Kojo.
Which school is your child in?
Kojo, like the discussion I had with your guys, I'd rather we focus on the issue and not the school.
Okay.
For very good reasons.
Okay, so let's get to the issue. You took your child to school not so long ago. Tell us about that experience and the concerns that you had.
Okay. Prior to this semester, let me start from there. Prior to this last semester, about 3 weeks before they vacated, they were virtually having porridge, morning, afternoon, and evening. Because at the time, I think they ran out of foodstuff.
Wow.
So the PA, that's Parent Association at the time, decided that we come together and contribute some money to buy some foodstuffs for the school. Indeed, we decided to levy each other 300 cedis, and we got them some rice, some maize, some beans, and so on, and they were able to finish the semester. Now, this semester, when we took them, on the first day, of course, as concerned parents, we wanted to be sure that there will be food for them. At the time I took my word, food had not arrived. Food had not arrived. But then they said they have something from the previous semester that we were going to manage till food arrives. So yesterday, I called the school again and I spoke to the headmaster. And he confirmed that, yes, indeed, some food has been brought in, which will last for some weeks. So for now, yes, they have food. However, like I said, last semester, they went through a lot of challenges with feeding. They were living off Tom Brown morning, afternoon, and evening. And then occasionally, I think one time they had rice. So they had rice water morning, afternoon, and evening.
So as a parent, how does that make you feel that your child is on such a diet while, they are supposed to be getting an education?
Well, Kojo, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because, for us as parents, we work to give the best to our children. We want to give them the best of education. We want to give them the best of upbringing. And, I mean, for us, some of us even want to pay. Since they are in a boarding house, we want to pay so that they are fed. I mean, of course, they will not be given like a 5-star hotel treatment, but at least they should be able to have 3 square meals a day comfortably. So for some of us, we are prepared to pay if that will be enough to feed our children. Yes.
Now, have you offered to pay, and has anyone stopped you from doing so?
Well, once government has not approved for the schools to collect money, I mean, as in the schools collecting the money, that cannot be done. But for us as PA, when we do any contribution, we buy the foodstuffs and deliver it to the school. That's what we are able to do for now. But I believe if it's made, if it is approved, and we are to even pay 500 cedis or 600 cedis, all put together just for feeding of our kids, I think that'll be fine. So that we take some burden of government, because it's become clear that, I mean, government alone cannot bear the cost of feeding or take of our children in school.
So what have you been able to do? I mean, obviously, you can't just sit by while your child is fed porridge, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So what have you tried to do to, at least do something about their nutrition?
Well, for my ward, I have given him some money to go. There are these ladies who sell in the school to go get some wache or some rice to eat. I mean, just to supplement what the school gives them.
And I mean, how is that? How is that working? Do you have any difficulty getting this money to your child? Are they able to eat 3 times a day from these ladies?
Well, for now, when school reopened and I took him, I gave him enough money to take care of that, and I'll be visiting him. So as I go, I'll give him some more just to be able to feed.
Right. I want to bring in a headmaster, and because of this same concern about victimization and fear of speaking up, we are going to have to protect the identity of this headmaster. We'll call him Headmaster John for the purpose of this conversation. Headmaster John, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Kojo.
So tell us about the reality in your school. Are you able to feed these kids?
Thank you. Like the speaker, informed you, last semester, 3 months or so, or 2 months, 3 weeks to the end of the semester, it wasn't easy. He clearly, put up, children were going to bed without food. If they had porridge, there was no sugar, no bread. And the quantity, Kojo, is an eyesore. You see, that is the problem. If your school is not so, I mean, the parents of your students are not proactive, like this gentleman said, they can't even contribute anything towards the feeding of the kids, so they will go hungry. So that is the situation we end the semester with. Opening this semester, the only thing is that some food stuff has been brought, but it will not last for even 1 month or even 3 weeks.
So
we were supposed to receive 18 items comprising of sugar, flour, Tom Brown, maize, what have you. Most schools have not even received 6 out of them. So you are giving beans, nothing else comes with the beans. You are giving tin tomato, you don't have anything to cook. I mean, like the situation is not the best.
Let me ask you this. I mean, as a headmaster, hundreds of people have brought their children to you to look after them while they study. The funds to feed them are supposed to be coming from the government. The funds are not coming. These people's children are in your care. You can't feed them. You're giving them Tom Brown morning till evening. How does that make you feel as a custodian of people's children?
Kojo, we are all parents. The very first time it happened, I wept at the dining hall. I wept. The phone was like, Master, you're anything. And that day, there was nothing. There was nothing. I only had, maize that we had put in water, ready for meal. So it meant that they would eat cocoa in the morning, cocoa in the afternoon, cocoa in the evening, without sugar and bread. And the quantity, gosh, it's not the best.
Headmaster John, so let's just look at a few things. You've talked about the 18 items. I just want to do a quick, run through, for instance. You say not even up to 6. So I have, for instance, here with me quantities for 2022-2023 academic year, food basis per 1,000 students. But I'll not go into the specific basis. I'll just look at it. So maize, for instance, we're told that's what you use for your bankun, kenke, and akasa. Do you have them enough maize for
They are
students?
not enough.
You have enough?
They are not enough.
They're not
If you
enough.
supply a school that is serving about 850 students at a go with 10 bags of rice, that's 3.5 bags of rice a day. They eat 3.5 bags of rice a day. How long would that take?
Hold on a second. With rice, you're looking at according to what you've been giving, 50 kg to 300 students for jollof, rice porridge 50 kg to 1,000 students, plain rice 50 kg to 300 students, and rice balls 50 kg to 340 students. You say you have how many bags of rice?
You get 10 bags of rice.
They brought you 10 bags.
They
10
brought you
bags
just
of
10
what?
bags.
50 kg or what?
It's even less than that. It's even less than when you weigh them. 40, 43, you don't eat 50.
And that's supposed to last you how many weeks?
Hello? Do we have Headmaster John on the line still? Right, I think we have to reconnect to Headmaster John. But let's also bring in Professor George K.T. Oduro. He's a professor of educational leadership at the University of Ghana. Prof, thank you for your time with us this morning. Good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, Kojo.
So you've heard from a parent, you've heard from a headmaster. That is the reality of the situation in senior high schools. But there is you can hear how reluctant this parent and headmaster are to actually be specific about which schools in which these things are happening. There is a reluctance to speak up about this. What's that about?
Okay, Kojo, thank you very much, and greetings to listeners. I think I need to commend the parents and the headmaster who actually volunteered to speak out. That's because I have tried talking to headmasters who confide in me, and when I ask them, why don't they come out? One headmaster simply said, "Hey, Prof, you want me to talk? Let me retire peacefully. Why?" So there's a culture of silence. People are zipping their mouths because of what we call intimidation. So that's really, so let's commend these people. And Kojo, looking at the issue, it's very sad. You see, historically, school feeding programs in Ghana have targeted the poor, guided by the principles of reducing hunger and malnutrition among school children. So if the situation on the ground is adding counter to these, then we have a very big challenge so far as student learning is concerned. There are other challenges that I have come out with delays in supplies. And one headmaster was telling me that, look, we now operate something called a barter system. That was before the holiday, where you contact schools that have quantities. You take some. When you get yours, you also send it back. So there are real challenges which we need to quickly tackle as a country.
One domestic buzzer made a revelation which I think perhaps the ministry needs to investigate, or the media needs to investigate. He was telling me that in some situations, supplies to schools are dwarfed in terms of weight. That, for instance, she gave an example that beans that should be 100 kilograms, for instance, the weight supplied comes about 60 kilograms, and yet invoice of 100 kilograms is given for endorsement. And when I heard that, I asked, you mean it? He said, Prof, I can't lie to you, but who is there to voice this thing out? So the media, I think you may have to take this out. And related to this, I got to know that even Wi-Fi to support children's learning and teachers teaching, it's mixed of these difficulties. Many of them are not working in schools. So we have a very big challenge which needs to be addressed. So that is the situation. But because I have to rush to another program, let me quickly say that we need, as a nation, to find ways of addressing this issue.
Prof, permit me to just ask you this one question before you leave.
Okay.
Is this a funding problem? I ask this because recently government has announced that they are going to give tablets to SHS students, which to me suggests that, there's some money. So is this a funding problem, a logistics problem? What exactly is the root cause of this difficulty?
Upfront, I would say that it's a funding problem, and then also issue of prioritization. You see, Kojo, if we reflect at the initial stages of the free SHS, we were told that 70% of children who couldn't enroll to secondary schools were from poor families. And this is what necessitated the across-board free SHS against all caution. So you see, money that have to be used in servicing disadvantaged, less endowed schools are used in servicing a whole school. People, like that parent said, people who can easily feed their children. And in one school, for instance, I will mention the name, I noticed a parent who had come to pick up his children with two vehicles. One was V8, the other one was a pickup. The child sat in the V8, the pickup took the luggage of the child. And yet this person is being given free feeding. So it has a funding aspect, and it has a prioritization dimension. So for me, I think one of the things we need to do is to review, meeting these challenges, let's review the free SHS program and direct support to those who really need it, the disadvantaged, less endowed people in our society. That is what we have to do. There are many parents who, given the chance, would be prepared to sponsor that. That is my first. The second thing is, if we look at the feeding management as it operated before the free SHS feeding, it operated on a decentralized mode. So headmasters were actively involved in this, and so they could easily manage to ensure that there's always food in the school. Now it has been centralized. We have the buffer stock, and one headmaster was saying that we don't even have access to the suppliers. We have to work through coordinators of the buffer stock. So when there's challenge, the bureaucracy, we cannot meet the needs. So my proposal is that let's go back to the decentralized mode of managing school feeding, and some of these problems will be solved. Kojo, briefly, I think this is what I will have to say.
Yeah, I appreciate your time with us, Professor Oduro, and enlightening analysis. We appreciate it very much. Professor George K.T. Oduro
Thank
is a
you.
professor of educational leadership at the University of Ghana. We still have with us Headmaster John, who has rejoined us on the phone. And in the studio, we're very happy to have spokesperson for the Minister of Education, Mr. Kwasi Kwarteng. What a pleasure to see you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, and good morning to you.
Indeed. We'll
Good
be hearing
morning.
more from Kwasi Kwarteng in a moment, but let's try and wrap up with Headmaster John.
Exactly. So let's just go back. And Headmaster John, you were telling us about the rice, for instance. And so I'm looking at, quantities for the 2022-2023 academic year. We're told that 50 kg when it comes to jollof for 300 students, rice porridge 50 kg to 1,000 students, and plain rice 50 kg to 300 students. You say sometimes the bags that you receive are even less than 50 kg.
Yes. Yes. At times, you weigh, you get 40, 43.
And
Listen,
how many bags did you receive? Did your school receive?
to be specific, by opening up, this semester, we had 10 bags of rice
Okay.
to feed so many students. 3 bags, if you had to eat rice, 3.5 bags of rice a day. You should know that of this, that the rice can, take them.
Hold on a minute. So 3.5 bags a day, and you feed students with. You have a rice meal a day at least.
Yes.
And so in effect, you're saying if you had 10 bags,
Yes.
so it means that 10 bags could last you for 4 days.
Sharp.
Now, have you received additional bags after you receive these 10 bags?
No, I've not received any additional funds.
Do you still have rice?
For now, we don't.
So for now, students are not being fed with rice.
No.
Okay, let me move on to the other things. You're supposed to be giving gari, and that will go with beans. It's 100 kg to 1,000 students. Flour for bread and brown sauce. I think that's what we used to call it. You have the flour. You have the gari.
Flour is not in. Gary is not in. We had beans. We had the 10 bags of rice. And then we had...
You had beans without gari.
Gary.
Okay. So you're just preparing beans for the students without the
Yes.
gari?
Beans and the beans into kinky. And
Okay.
then tomatoes. We prepare brown stew for them.
Now, they're supposed to have hot chocolate. You have them?
You don't.
How about soya beans?
No.
Peanut for peanut soup, you have it?
We don't have.
Mackerel, you have it?
Mackerel, we are giving 3 cartons.
3 cartons.
Yes.
For how many students again?
Boarding students over 1,000.
Because the portions here is mackerel, brown sauce and hot pepper, 425 gram for 10 students. Bean stew, I see 1 CTN for 1,000 students. And so 1 carton for 1,000 students.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you don't have all of these.
No.
How about margarine?
You
10
don't have.
kg for 1,500 students.
You don't have money.
So how are you feeding the children?
That is a question for all of us to answer.
No, Headmaster John, I want to understand. How are you feeding them? How are you feeding them?
So thinking about it, you see the mackerel, when you open one, it must suffice. And they are supposed to share this fingered fish for about...
Hello?
I think our connection to Headmaster John is a bit...
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear us, Headmaster John?
Yes, you know.
Right, the signal was poor. You were explaining something about the mackerel.
Oh.
Now, let's see if we can reconnect to Headmaster John for a clearer connection. All right, let's take some messages. When we come back, we'll be speaking to Headmaster John and Kwasi Kwarteng, who's a spokesperson for the Ministry of Education. He joins us in the studio right after these.
Welcome your loved ones with a 5-star treatment this festive season with DSTV.
When you stay connected, DSTV upgrades you for free. Warm your taste buds with the new season of CSI Vegas. Follow with the juicy African triple decker of Cohabits, Dirty Laundry, and Gomorrah. Keep the kids entertained with exciting Bluey and DS. Bet 365.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back. It's 18 minutes past 9, and today our focus is on free SHS, the children who reports indicate are being malnourished or in some cases, unfortunately, starved in government-run SHSs. We've heard from a headmaster, we've heard from a teacher. They all confirm it. Kwasi Kwarteng is spokesperson for the Ministry of Education. Mr. Kwarteng, again, thank you for your time with us. So look, let's just get straight to the point. Why are our children starving in government schools?
All right. Thank you. And then once again, good morning to you, your listeners, and I think your viewers, because this time around you have people also streaming online and other things. I appreciate, the concerns that has been raised. I'm not here to reject or deny them. My first comment is that no matter the situation, that is why we are there as leadership. And the beauty of leadership, no matter how, the issues are, is to first of all take responsibility and then make some input with regards to whatever concerns that has been raised. So first of all, the Dr. Educhum-led administration ultimately takes responsibility for everything, and then the assurance we are going to give parents is that yes, even though officially we've not had indeed these complaints when it comes to the food shortages, where indeed there are indeed some level of challenges with regards to supplies, being it transportational issues, being it logistics issues. Quickly, when we get the name of the school, we'll go in, intervene, and resolve it. When I was coming, I was listening to when you were interviewing, somebody with a pseudonym John. The whole point was to protect his identity. I have always held a personal reservation to that approach because, until we identify such an institution, how do we resolve the problem? Other than that, we will just be playing to the public gallery, kind of creating some anxiety, if you like, to a larger extent, some fear and panic among parents. And then you may have some PTAs who, in their attempt to resolve what they've heard in the media, may also kind of call parents to take monies and demand monies. A lot of the situations you call the headmasters. I remember there was a situation in Okapiman, for instance. They said there was no food. Students have been feeding on only porridge morning, afternoon, evening for a week. We went to the school and the reverse was same. So yes.
Wait. You went to the school and the children were actually eating proper meals?
Yeah, there was food.
Funded by government?
Obviously, I'm not sure there is any other way where
the Parents Association could have been paying for it.
So there's this is one that I can verify because that's a relative in Presec, and the situation is real.
Oh, I am saying that.
So Presec is because you wanted names.
Yes.
So I'm giving you a name of an institution.
As I speak to you, Presec has been a reservoir for the food distribution. As I speak, I don't know where you made your checks. And let me make a premise here. You see, the point is that we are not saying that there can be challenges. No. You are running a human system, a system where it started with human interface. Of course, there was a time past where we had disruptions within our supply chain, which was largely occasioned by inflationary pressures. And so you had your suppliers unwilling, even though they had the capacity to supply. Because, I mean, their argument is that if you supply food for, say, A amounts, I mean, hypothetically, 100,000 cedis, by the time you come for your money in 60 days, you are going to get a less valued money in terms of whatever investment that you made. So the suppliers were not supplying. That was where the minister had to intervene and provoke the emergency supply response. So yes, those challenges, those challenges had been there. But we've moved beyond those challenges. That is also not to suggest that they come in. For instance, I mean, where you made your checks, you said you cited...
No. So this is not even an external thing. This is...
No, if you had allowed me to land. No, if you had allowed me to land.
I want to give you more facts so that you know that it's not far from me. This is family, actually.
Mama,
so
you spoke of
Presec. Yes.
And I was landing. When I was coming, for you prefer to use pseudonyms when it comes to your headmasters. I am putting it to you that we are not, I mean, in any move to victimize anyone. For me, I have even always held the view that is a way of running away from proving whether indeed people in the media have also verified their sources. That's why they hide also under the names that pseudonyms and all that. But when I was coming...
Wait, explain that point.
I'm coming.
Are you saying that the media...
Yes.
Rather than prove that they verified facts, are hiding behind pseudonyms to put out information that has not been verified?
What I'm saying is that until you put out the institution and we go in and resolve the problem, we'll only be playing to the gallery. So the whole point about, if we mention the name of the school, you are going to...
Which gallery?
Hold on. No, I think you asked a question and then I
want to understand your answer.
So
which gallery?
We take it one by one, right? I think Mama V even asked a question. That
because
question
I'm interested in it. So once you're done with it, because mine is real, is home.
Yeah, it's home.
There are two boys
from
my home
except to say that whilst I was coming, the last call I made randomly was to the headmaster of Aquinas, and he referenced that even just yesterday he received a call from Presec that they've received tracks of food items and that he prefers to use this as a reservoir. So he's not even going to pick it because he has enough that in terms of storage, he's unable to even store it at the moment. So he called Presec back that, well, the food should be stored. So yes, I am not denying entirely what you said, but it's possible that based on the time that you made your checks, I mean, there could be changes, unless of course you are saying that you are giving me
fresh. This is as fresh as yesterday.
I speak as the spokesperson for the ministry. I give you the update, and I think the only rational thing, if you ask me, for all of us to do probably is to go and check if I'm making any contrary opinion. I have cited even the headmaster of St. Thomas Aquinas as a reference.
So what I have is not St. Thomas Aquinas, it's Presec. And you did mention that there's a distribution. There's a distribution points.
Yeah.
It is, and as we're talking, the update is still coming in.
No, you can call the Presec head. You can call the Presec head so that
it becomes... it's easy for you to say, oh, the heads can speak, but we all do know. Presec head will not speak to us because he knows that if he shares the fact, he will be victimized. It's a fact.
So how are you able to hear there is no food?
Because I said there
are
two boys from my home who are there.
Every time Charles comes out, who has been victimizing Charles?
I am speaking to you as a parent, if you like, as a guardian, who has two boys in Presec, and we are having to send food to them.
Mama V.
So I'm just saying that there are institutions that may not be facing this, but I'm telling you about the Presec issue, and I'm telling you that as somebody who has boys there, not my own boys, but a relative's children. I'm saying that the headmaster is not speaking to us, but a mother is telling us that my two boys are there. I'm having to spend about 3,000 every month getting them food. And I think that's the direct question that I'm asking with a specific institution, Mr. Kwarteng.
I think we are even at the same page, unless of course maybe you are not getting the point that I'm trying to make. At the end of the day, I speak as a spokesperson for the ministry. Mm-hmm. If you vary my opinion and the submissions and the update that I've given you, I mean, now we bring in the headmaster. I said the headmaster is not going to speak because we are going to victimize. Between Joy FM to Presec, we all can move here right after the show with your cameras. And
So
the production team.
are you doubting what I have said?
No, unless of course you are also telling me that you believe what I've told you. I am giving you an update. I'm not saying that.
I am a bit confused.
No, Mama V, I'm not saying that you are lying. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is a possibility that this challenge had ever existed. But the update that I have for you is that even as at yesterday, there were trucks of food in Presec. Unless, of course, you are telling me that probably between yesterday and now, you've also received a different update. I never ran away from the fact that those challenges existed.
I have a follow-up.
Indeed, I even admitted that there was even a time where we had a very huge disruption within the supply chain. I have never run away. And I'm also the same person who have admitted that where there are challenges, our duty as leadership is to bear the responsibility and go and resolve it. So I'm not here to dispute any fact. The point is that I was only trying to say that when you bring out pseudo names and pseudo institutions, it doesn't help. Right now that you've pointed to Presec, what it does is that it's going to give us an insight. Of course, if there are responses and there is food, I'm not going to say there is no food. But where there is no, for instance, I spoke to the headmaster for Konogo Dumasi. He said there is food, but there, in terms of the quantity of their red oil, it's not enough. So we should bring some. I made that admission. Our duty as leaders is to take responsibility and go and resolve it. But where there is food, I'm not sure the expectation is that you expect a civil servant to sit here and lie that there is no food.
Okay, so this is the fresh updates that I just got a while ago. That Presec is a distribution center, but the question is, how much food do they get as a school?
It depends on the item. I'm sure in terms of.
So I guess that's where there's an issue.
In terms of it depends on the item, but of course, for instance, when I was listening to you, somebody said he received 3 cartons of. I'm not disputing
mackerel.
That is even if the person is supposed to be a headmaster.
The person is a headmaster.
We want to know the school. We investigate it. Where is it wrong? It's possible it's not even coming from the ministry. It's possible it's not coming from Buffer Stock. It could be the transactional arrangement. Supplier has done something bad. Let's investigate. Until we know the school, how do we resolve it?
Mr. Kwarteng,
it is not possible that an institution will be given 3 markers. It is not possible.
Mr. Kwarteng, we have that headmaster on the phone, the one who is making the claim you are denying.
No, we want to know the
school.
It's
impossible.
No, we want to know the school.
He's on the line.
No, we want to know the school. Other than that, we don't.
So shall we speak to him?
We want to know the school.
Let's speak to it. That's the reason why I'm trying to introduce him to the conversation.
And know the school so that we resolve it.
Can I introduce him to the conversation?
Perfect. But the director of Free SHS is listening. Our data
John,
is there.
Thank you. I think you are. When you do that, you are intimidating him. I don't think anyone.
What you are doing amounts to just inciting.
I don't think anyone listening is missing what you are doing. I'm trying to get the man to speak.
So how do we resolve if you don't know the school?
You are intimidating him.
No, I'm telling you that it's a pseudonym. I am putting it to you that it's a pseudonym.
Speak.
I am putting it to you that it's a pseudonym.
Why don't
the school
you
does not
just
exist? It's a creation of you.
The man speak. No. Please. Let me handle this. Mr. Kwarteng, you represent the ministry.
Yes.
The first thing you said when you joined us is that there is no intimidation. There is no reason why parents shouldn't speak. There's no reason why teachers shouldn't speak. There's a headmaster on the line who has made specific claims. You are right here. I want the man to speak to you. You don't seem to want to even allow it.
How do we verify he's a headmaster? How do we verify? Give us the name of the school. Let us go and solve the problem.
Can I speak to him?
I don't have a problem, but let us know the name of the school.
Let me speak to him.
And let us know the name of the school.
Let me speak to the man.
And let us know the name of the school. It's fair.
Wow.
We go in and resolve it.
We're talking about free SHS. Reports coming through that children are being starved and malnourished, being given porridge 3 times a day, no sugar. That schools are being deprived of supplies. We have a parent, we have a headmaster, we have the spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, Mr. Kwasi Kwarteng, in the studio, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it. Joining us on the phone lines, there is a headmaster whose identity we have protected so far. We've called him Headmaster John. He's been giving us the situation in his school. We have a parent who has identified himself as Ni Oraka Tete and has been telling us about the situation with his child in a secondary school here in Ghana. Let's get more information. Joining us over the phone, Headmaster John, who has been speaking to us about shortages and lack of supplies. Headmaster John, you've just heard the spokesperson for the ministry. He says you are hiding behind a pseudonym and that what you're saying is not true.
Well, thank you. I think for the ministry, what you are expecting to say apart from what he's saying? Open the phone line.
Hello? Hello? We're struggling to hear Headmaster John. We will try and clean up that line. But we have a parent, Neo Rakatete, who's on the phone. Mr. Rakatete, I mean, you're hearing the spokesperson from the ministry. I mean, be fair to him. If he doesn't know which school you are talking about, how does he solve the problem?
Hello?
Yes, Nee, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. So I was asking, the spokesperson for the ministry says that, look, if he doesn't know which school you are talking about, how can he solve the problem there? That's fair, isn't it?
So far as I am concerned, the heads of the schools have informed or told whoever is in charge what their challenges are. So I'm sure if he goes back to, let's take it by region. If he goes to their regional directors or district directors, any school has come to lodge a complaint about challenges they are having, their information is there. It is not for me to mention the school's name.
Well, the problem now is that he actually doesn't believe that you are real. He says that you are just hiding behind a pseudonym and making up things that are not true to cause disaffection. How do you respond to that?
No, I'm not interested in that. All we are, if I were interested in causing disaffection, I mean, that would be doing politics. I'm not interested in doing politics with the welfare of our children.
Okay. Right. I want to bring in Headmaster John, and I think the situation is the same. The minister's spokesperson thinks you're a made-up person. You're not a headmaster. You're just saying things to make them look bad.
Well, that is what he will say. He just was the ministry to your people to.
Oh, I'm so sorry about this. We're really having some real difficulties with the phone line here. We're going to have to try and work a bit harder to reconnect. Now, I want to speak to you, Mr. Kwarteng, about these claims of victimization and the reasons we are being given by those who join us for not wanting to reveal their identities. They say they don't want to be victimized. You have said that nobody will be victimized. But do you understand it from their perspective? Bearing in mind, this is a flagship program of government. So much is riding on it. Reputations, careers are riding on it. And they find themselves in a situation where they are easy targets for anybody who thinks that they are putting out information that is jeopardizing the integrity of this program. From their perspective, can the ministry understand why they are not as willing to step forward as we would expect?
Okay, I think, first of all, if we are being fair to ourselves, clearly, you know that my intention was not to deny anything. Of course, I mean, speaking to Mama V, and if you want to reference the premise of my conversation, I was the first person to even admit that such challenges exist, and where those exist, we'll go and resolve it. It was even the more reason why I was stressing that in order to aid my work and go and resolve the problem, we would like to know the name. Of course, I mean, mentioning the name of an institution is not a death sentence. Neither does it mean that somebody is going to vilify anybody. If we do not get the name of the institution, how do we, resolve the particular challenge that is there? And I also gave you a reference that there are some situations, and indeed, precedent have it that there are some situations where even your media house have mentioned some schools. When we went to the situation, the reverse was same. Of course, there are also situations where indeed, when we went there were some challenges and we needed to resolve it. So what I was expecting you to do, also as a media personality, that when there is a problem and there is a challenge, and we believe in indeed getting to the bottom of the problem, what we do is to have a very dispassionate conversation about it, get to know the schools that have challenges, and then go and resolve it. It is not in any way, branding anybody as lying or denying what somebody is saying. As, you were just trying to pitch me against him. But of course, Kwedu, what for me is more crucial and most important is that, well, as the Ministry of Education, we admit that there exist some challenges within the supply chain that we don't run away from. We also admit that there are trucks on the road that is making supplies to the various institutions. Even recently, Charles also came with their own concerns. It shows that nobody is being victimized, because there are some situations where indeed we have heads of institutions coming out and we quickly go in and resolve it. But the point that I wanted to arrive is that when we create such an atmosphere, it just creates some level of fear and panic among parents, which may not necessarily be the true reflection of what is happening. But of course, like I indicated, where there is problem, our duty is to resolve that problem, and we'll go and resolve it.
I want you to hear from our audience. So let's open the phone lines, 0302-216-541, 055-1111-997. If you have questions for the spokesperson, if you have issues you want to raise, maybe you have a ward in a school where feeding is not a problem. They get food 3 square meals a day. Call us and tell us about it. Or if you have a ward in a school where they're having issues with feeding, we want to hear about it too. Mama B.
We've got Thomas on the line. Yeah.
Thomas, good morning.
Good morning.
Please, right.
I want to ask the minister a question.
It's not a minister, it's a spokesperson for the ministry.
Referring to this thing, Legon, precept. I want to know if the schools have reopened about a week or so ago. Is that the right time for them to supply goods to the school? Because the children have to be fed on before even yesterday that he's claiming they send the goods to the school. So how are the children going to be fed? Even before yesterday that is supplied the goods, and somebody is claiming you are telling the fact that the children are starving in the school, and he's denying it. If the school reopened about a week or two ago, why is it that they didn't supply the goods ahead of time before even the time? And then now that he's claiming that it was yesterday that he supplied the goods, the food to the children. Is it fair?
Thank you, Thomas, for sharing. We'll get you a response from the spokesperson. Let's take a few more calls, and then he can respond to all your issues together. Fred is in Dansuman. Hi, Fred. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Fred. What's on your mind?
All right. I have a nephew at the and this same issue that you are talking about, what the headmaster is talking about is what is going on in the education. And why is the spokesperson being so arrogant to listen to what people are saying and what the headmaster is saying? Why is the girl doing that? Why is he doing that? He should just humble himself and listen to the complaints people are giving. You understand? You cannot just come and sit on radio. What you want to hear is praise. Why? We all know honestly that our kids are suffering. When they come back from vacation, they feel like they are not eating good. And can we say it? And you get up in the morning and try to defend. As the PRO been roaming about all the SHS in Ghana, headmasters want to speak up. They can't speak up. And you are sitting there and you are trying to intimidate them. You are telling you and arrogantly, you don't want people to talk. What's this? What's this?
Thank you for calling, Fred. We appreciate it. Let's go to Adenta. Kwame is on the line. Hi, Kwame. Good morning. Oh, I think we may have lost Kwame. But listen, you can call us too, 0302 216 541 055 1111 997.
So, Kojo, I had a question for Mr. Kwarteng in terms of where are you getting reports of either shortage or inadequate food?
Which of the questions should I answer first? Because I think you also indicated that I was supposed to answer their questions.
Yes, we will list their issues, and then at the end you can deal with them one after the other.
But we have another caller.
We have Nana Jemfi on the line from Dansoman. Hi, Nana Jemfi. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
Thanks for calling.
Sorry. I think what the spokesperson is saying is not true. What he threw the challenge to you guys at the studio that if you want, follow him to the schools with your cameras and go and find out. And I can bet my last peswa, including my haircut, that there's no school in Accra here, boarding house, that have any supplies. Indeed, the PSEC that he's talking about as a distribution center have nothing to write home about. So you can imagine if PSEC, which is the distribution center, doesn't have anything. What about the satellite schools and those even outside Accra? Kwasi Kwarteng should be calm enough and accept that there's a lot of challenges with this feeding program. And then let's all fight together as a community, as a country, to help. This free SHS is not really working. These boys are at their teen age. This is the time that they need nutritious food. But what are we feeding them? Porridge morning, porridge in the afternoon, porridge in the evening. Without sugar, without bread. The schools have received flour without margarine or butter. How do they bake? They have rice and beans without oil, without gari. What are they going to eat? Please, let's humble ourselves and all have a reflective and sober reflective to at least understand the situation and allow parents to help. PTAs are not even allowed to contribute. If you are a school and you allow PTA to even organize food for the school, the headmaster will be victimized. These are fair, there are things on the ground. The headmasters are indeed afraid. Matrons, logistics people, everybody is afraid to talk. It's we, the parents, who have to talk. And I don't know whether Kwasi Kwarteng have any boy or girl in any of the SHS. Like Mamazi said, it's a clear thing happening. We are talking from our boys and girls who are in the school who are complaining. We are not just saying anything out from the air. Please, and a big please, there is no food. Let's accept it. And then find ways and means to help.
Thank you, Nana. Felix is in Ajingano. Hi, Felix. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling us.
It's a pleasure. I heard the PRO talking about no headmaster is being victimized for, speaking his or her mind, Me, I can speak about Peter Kojo. Peter Kojo was speaking about some of these things, and he was sacked from the GES. Is that no victimization? He is not the only person. I have a brother in one of the schools, and there is no food for them to eat. So what is he talking about?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for raising that question. I think we have Asumening on the line. Asumening, where are you calling from?
From Okuga in the Eastern region.
Oh, okay, great. Talk to us. What's on your mind?
So, Kojo, my ward finished SHS. She was part of the first batch that went to SHS. You see, for me, listening to Mr. Kwasi Kwarteng, I feel the Super Morning Show is helping him get away with it. He's a politician. If the headmaster, Master John or whoever, is not ready to name the school where he comes from, for me, I think it's unnecessary. We all know whatever he's going to talk about. We are witnesses. If we brought Mr. Kwasi Kwarteng to respond to issues, it should be specific. I know that the headmasters are afraid. So if they are afraid, we shouldn't bring them online or on air to come and say things so that Mr. Kwasi Kwarteng will say that if we don't know the specifics to how this works. It's true. What he's saying is true. So if you want to help listeners and Ghana, for one, let one headmaster put his head on the line, and we all will be behind him. He should name his school. He should name where he's talking from. We all are listening. Because the ministry has bad PTAs, as one caller was saying. It's unfair. They're just gagging people so that we can talk about what is happening and the bad things that are going on. My former school is Parental College. I went to the school on our 20th anniversary and I was sad. The things that are happening because of this free SHS is so bad. And any politician, once you start talking, they'll come at you. So for me, morning show, if you want to help the listeners, let people who are ready to sacrifice for the future of our wards to come out. But Headmaster John shouldn't be on air. He's not ready. And it doesn't help anybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Asumeni. I think we mentioned at the beginning of the show how hard we worked over the weekend just to find one person to speak to this matter. All right, Justice is in East Legon. Hi, Justice. Good morning.
Hi, Kojo. Good morning. How are you?
Not bad at all, thank you. What's on your mind?
Very good. Yeah, so I think that to be fair to the gentleman at the studio, we have a lot of schools around in Accra. You can just sample 2 or 3 with him. Go to the school. There are records showing whether there should be food or not. And it settles the matter because for now he's arguing that whoever you have called is a ghost. And I think that it's high time headmasters and mistresses become very bold and face this head on. They should not be shy. Parents will be behind them. And I think headmasters, we have charts. They should be able to rise against any unwarranted transfers because somebody has spoken. Because if we come and we hide behind calls like this and make calls, the government thinks that somebody is lying. And the problem is real. So I think it's high time we get to the bottom of this. Joy FM, go to PRESEC right now. There are records to be verified, and it settles matters so that we are fair to both parents, both headmasters, and the government as well. Thank you, Koju.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I think Justice is our last caller. We've managed to take about 5 or 6 calls. But the time shows that, look, if we want to get responses from the spokesperson, we won't have time for it. Mr. Kwarteng, we would like to ask you to come back tomorrow and address some of these concerns. Will you be able to do that?
I will. I just hope that in a conversation where we indeed want favorable and fair responses, I would have expected that you also have made time for me to have at least given some responses to this one. Now, I mean, the impression is as though I was fighting a headmaster. But of course, I wanted to get the facts of the school so that to aid our work. But there's one interesting thing that I want to draw attention to. Remember, there is CHAS. That is a conference of heads of assisted senior high schools. Almost every week they speak out and they come out with their issues. So the impression as though headmasters are being victimized, headmasters are not cannot speak. Clearly, I mean, the evidence does not support that because CHAS has always been representing them as the conference of. They come out even as a stronger body and as a stronger unity. But for me, that is not the most important thing. What is most important is that, one, I assure parents that where there is challenges, we'll go and solve it. Two, I encourage media personalities like you that when you make, how do you call it? You want to cite instances of places where there are challenges. Support us with the names of the institutions so that we go and solve it. For me, those are the most important and most crucial points for me.
All right. So thank you for that. Tomorrow we will continue this conversation with Mr. Kwasi Kwarteng, who is a spokesperson for the Ministry of Education.